Welcome to the Crypto Wise channel. My name is Dave. Thanks for being here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about XMR, Bear Market Bottom Targets, or Monero, MoneroXMR, and very, very quick Bitcoin update as well. And yeah, if you're new to the channel, here we focus on macro technical analysis and facts in the chart so we can have clarity and ease of decision making in the crypto market, laying out the highest probabilities based on chart patterns, confluence, and indicators. No news, no hype, no narrative, just cool, calm, and focused. All right, let's dive into it. Monero is a very different coin. It has its own sort of rhythm, and it's also showing a very strong price action. Very strong, higher lows, equal highs. It's showing that the buyers are stepping in. The price continues to consolidate to the upside, which is a bullish indication, which is very good. So we can see that Monero is quite resilient, although still manages to pull off these aggressive 94% down in a bear market, 81% down in a bear market. I do expect this next one to be shallower again, which would make a lot of sense if you see that the previous two were between the previous two it was shallower, and potentially just coming back to this massive upward sloping support line at around a 75%. I would suspect right around the October first week of October. So it could be very soon, in 6 months, that we see that happen. The reason I say this is because it's a very clear support line. I've laid it out on the monthly time frame over here. We did have a quick sweep down, but the candles closed in an upward sloping support. This wick here, I'm discounting it due to the COVID crash. And if I line this up, this trend line, with the previous lows here, we do see repetitive touch points, just the candle close, touch points, these 2 weeks touch points. This price action making a ascending triangle pattern. So usually when we reject an equal high, we come back to support, reject equal high, come back down to support, reject equal high, I'm discounting the wick as a fake out. So rejection from equal high and back down to support. So that is where I'm suspecting the price will go to, as we are expecting Bitcoin to drop down out of this pattern here, this bear flag, that is still a bear flag in my opinion, just an extended one, and maybe a swift move up here before this comes down in May. Yeah, I'd suspect end of May would probably be bottoming out of this bear flag pattern. So this would give likely, especially if Bitcoin's going to be moving down aggressively in a bear flag kind of fashion, it should affect the price of Monero as well. Now, one thing to note is that Monero is pretty resilient in its own way and is following its structure and pattern. So if we look at, one thing I want to point out about the resilience is that we look here, we had this pretty consistent uptrend here of higher highs, higher lows, until we had the attempt to break out and then it failed. But this whole trend here was up during the October 10th crash, which was the signal of the top for Bitcoin, which was over here. So between October 10th, which was this massive move, and January 14th, XMR was actually climbing up. There's the October 10th crash here. All up, higher highs, higher lows, until January 14th, where this attempt to break out failed. That's when Bitcoin started its major lag down into this bear flag decrease, right, in the price, where Bitcoin actually dropped 38%. XMR ended up dropping as well. That was until end of Feb, or starting of Feb. Yeah, 65% down. So I think the reason why this came up like this into that point, even though Bitcoin was in a decline, is because it's following a pattern. There is a pattern in an identifiable structure, and now it's in a rejection phase and a decline, much like we had a rejection here, like I talked about. It worked its way down. We had a rejection here, it worked its way down. So I'd suspect this to work its way down into that first week of October. So this move down, much like when Bitcoin had a bear flag move down, if we have another aggressive move down like that, it will highly likely bring Monero down to this area, potentially making another 60% move. Maybe less, 55, 60%. I mean, if it comes up a little higher and reaches the top of this consolidation, we could easily see something similar. But this move down was a bit aggressive, probably because it was overbought. And usually when it's extended and overbought, we could see harder moves to the downside. But anyways, this is a very typical move here. Move down, consolidation, and what's expected, as long as it doesn't clear out of this channel, backtest and go higher, the expectation is that we see a rejection at the top and a breakdown into a continuation down from the consolidation. That's the expectation based on what we're seeing right now. And depending on how hard it moves down, we should see some support at this trend line. I'm using the monthly time frame. So yeah. That being said, this area here, right around all these candle closes, should be strong support. Much like this bottom here, when we got rejected, came down, and we formed a kind of structure here that we broke above. This pricing, when it came back down to support here, back tested this level. Now we have a similar thing here where we got rejected from there, formed a pricing structure, we broke above. This level should act as strong support. So it's just a repeatable pattern. The structure in this case was here. I mean, debatable. It's a monthly time frame. If I look at the 2 weekly, yeah, you can see that on the 2 weekly, you could make the case that it was right there. That's the range high. And we actually back tested it several times. So if I use the 2 weekly time frame, we could say this is the range high, and then that this level would likely get back tested maybe a few times. So potentially a very aggressive move to the downside to follow, and then this area getting tested along with this upward sloping support, and this area being a very good buying opportunity. And I would suspect from there to be supported, and then XMR to continue its move to the upside and eventually breaking these highs, because this is not the cleanest, but it is an ascending triangle formation. So I'll show you that right now. Ascending triangle formation. So we have images here, and we can see that this is what it looks like, right? You have price that creates equal highs and higher lows, and eventually the price breaks to the upside. It's a trend continuation pattern. If the price moves up into this triangle formation, then the likelihood is more likely that we see a break to the upside. So in that case, we can see in our case here that the price did push up into it, and we are seeing equal highs, higher lows, and the expectation is that this would break to the upside into the new bull market after we bottom in the October range. See how much time am I in now? I can't see on the screen. It doesn't show me. That's all right. Okay, so that being said, the area for accumulating XMR, in my opinion, right around this 2-weekly close, it's right around 186. So I'd give it a zone. I'll give you a zone here between this wick low and there. Likely between the time frame of early September, so end of August, and end of August to end of November. So probably in this time frame here, most likely. It's a pretty important time frame to be paying attention to crypto for buying opportunities. So this is the area and time frame I believe that Monero would likely bottom. Seeing as how we got rejected, we are now in a downtrend. I don't see anything here that's suggesting that we will reverse. Usually it would be somewhere on the bigger time frame, like a consolidation structure that usually is multi-months like this before it breaks up and continues higher, or a big W structure like this. We don't see anything like that right now, so I don't suspect this to have any kind of potential for upside at the moment. I believe the higher likelihood is that we break down into this area. So my accumulation zone is right around, let's say, 235 and 185. This would be a great accumulation zone. And yeah, the expectation is to see a lot more price increase. I don't know to where. I'm not going to show you guys in this video. I want to make more videos later on that's going to show you where the next bull market top can be and targets for there and where to de-risk. It's too early to figure that out right now. I want to see these bottoms play out before I give any topping signals. So there you have it. And a quick update on Bitcoin. I'm still expecting this to break down. Right now we're still in this consolidation. I do believe that we're going to see something around the new moon, like we've seen in the previous top. If this bear flag plays out, which there's a good chance it will, it's possible we see something very similar to this, right? Blue is new moon, green is full moon, that we push up and take out the previous swing highs temporarily, right? You see this range that we had for quite some time. Ranging. We broke above the swing high, which was here, right around the new moon, got rejected, and then we collapsed down. We have a new moon on Friday, so there is a plus or minus few days window for this new moon for us to get rejected, but it does look like we could possibly be getting this extra move up to the upside, which typically in an ABC correction, which this could be, happens. The C wave, which is potentially this, happens in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here we have 1, 2, 3. This could be 4. And then if we have another swing high that takes out the range high, like we did here, into the new moon, pushing up into this major weekly downtrend, we could have a quick sweep up here into close to the weekend, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, and then a breakdown around that new moon that could send us into this bear flag playing out. So that's the expectation right now. There is a possibility that we break higher or we consolidate here for a while, and then later on into the next full moon we actually push up to sweep this CME gap, and then we actually top out in May new moon, which would be closer to mid-May, and then we sweep down like that. That's also another possible scenario. I'm not sure which one is more likely, but you know, these CME gaps usually get filled, but it's just looking pretty weak. So I'd suspect that probably the sweep up into this weekend is going to be the more probable scenario. Seeing as how we have tons of resistance here on the weekly time frame, we have a weekly candle close here at 78K. It would be just strange that we closed a weekly above that that structure, seeing as how we had a very dramatic close below. So I find it hard to believe that it's possible still. Don't get me wrong, because we could, as long as we don't make a higher high, this could still be an attempt to make a move like this, and we could just be back testing this trend line here, which is the kind of head and shoulders pattern. So that's also a possibility. Yeah, so that's the update with that. Either way, macro still bearish. The highly likely scenario is that we do break lower. The question is when and how would it play out. So hopefully that's helpful, guys. If you like the video, like, share, subscribe. Appreciate the support, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.